founders started reaching out and said, can you do for me what you're doing for yourself? And I started doing it as a side hustle back in the day. And then I realized that I have a proof of concept. When it comes to what to write, the best solution is to craft content pillars. One needs to stand deep, not stand out. It means that even in a saturated market, you still have more than one provider.
Welcome to The Growth Switch, the podcast where we dive into the strategies, struggles, and breakthroughs of bold business leaders. I'm your host, Jules Fox, growth strategist and lead content creator at Aries Media. I'm here to uncover how today's top brands are scaling, overcoming challenges, and unlocking sustainable success. Now, for those of you just tuning in, Aries Media helps grow successful brands like yours with comprehensive hands-on support for sales, business development, and performance marketing. So go ahead and drop growth into the comments if you want to learn how to do that. But today we have a very special guest. We have Ophir Tal. He's the founder of Ophir Writer. It's a personal branding agency. He's a ghostwriter. He helps founders and CEOs transform their LinkedIn presence. So I'm sure you have seen those people on LinkedIn that have an odd headshot and like no details whatsoever. And you kind of wonder if they are a professional at all. Well, Ophir is the guy who helps you become that professional on LinkedIn and look amazing. He helps you build your presence into a magnet for business relationship, leads, get authority without writing a single word yourself. Pretty fantastic concept. Ophir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so how did you come up with an idea to help people create this content? What was the market need where you decided to open a company to help people with this?
The journey started way before LinkedIn was a thing in terms of content creation, because LinkedIn used to be that platform for job search, this highly corporate and robotic platform that we all hated, frankly. Long before that, I was a journalist and a marketer. I would interview people and either turn it into articles when I was a journalist or to UGC, user-generated content. And what happened on LinkedIn is that I took, back in the day, we're talking about, I believe it was 4 years ago, a copywriting course about LinkedIn that taught me not everything I know, but a large chunk of what I know in terms of the attitude that it is personal branding, not company branding, that the personal brand is actually at the forefront of the company, that the content itself should feel personal yet professional, not either or. And what then happened is that I started writing on my own LinkedIn and people started reaching out. Founders started reaching out and said, can you do for me what you're doing for yourself? And I started doing it as a side hustle back in the day. And then I realized that I have a proof of concept. Once I had that, and once the side hustle was stable, I was able to jump all in. The rest is history.
Yeah, I think every good business starts by solving a problem that you yourself have. And if you're able to solve that problem really well, and other people are coming to you and asking you to help them solve that same problem, boom, you have a business.
Exactly. And the problems that the founders are facing, at least most of them, are very similar to mine, with one major difference. And the major difference is that I love writing. Most of them really don't. So this is something that I do naturally, but they don't. This is like the difference. But the similarity is striking because they want their activity to result in business equity, aka leads, talent, podcast invites like this one. And I'm helping them get that through content, through comment, through DMs. And these are the things that I want for myself as well. And I'm writing long term, particularly for that purpose, for myself. The same thing is going for these founders. And so because I understand where they're going, what they're going through, I know that it's a very similar situation. It helps me help them.
Yeah. Now, a lot of these people are facing these mindset blocks when they're trying to build their personal brand. Number one, like you're suggesting, they just don't have the time or energy or skill set to write the words themselves, but also they might not even be able to think of what they should be writing. So how do you help people break through that resistance and figure out who they are, what they should be writing about?
The work starts with content strategy. Even before I write one word, basically I provide them that external gaze. I interview them to understand who they are, what they stand for. I then review their profile with them to identify the hidden points that they don't see. And then I help them solve that. And I literally build a new strategy for them. When it comes to what to write, the best solution is to craft content pillars. These are evergreen themes that you'll always write about no matter what. And at least one of them has to do with your ideal client. Some of them should be more about yourself, but at least one of them must be about your ICP. Because if it isn't, then your personal brand doesn't have a monetization potential. So this is the root of it all. And once you have that, only then you can actually start writing.
Yeah, that sounds. I went through the HubSpot training for content creation. One of their big things was these pillar posts, and yet in only a matter of years, I almost feel like that particular thing is slightly outdated. And what you're talking about is like the modern rebrand refresh. It's like everybody went from doing personal blogs and things like that and company blogs to like we have to be on LinkedIn. It went from LinkedIn, like you said earlier, was only a place to go find some jobs to like, okay, now everybody's on LinkedIn. In fact, there's probably too much content coming out on LinkedIn. So how do you cut through all of that? There are people who just hire agencies that post something that's not really about their brand. It's not really about their topic. It's not really getting them any traction. How do you move past that?
The solution is interviews and resonance. So the writing shouldn't be detached from what the founder is all about. It's not that you pay for writing and then you sit and wait and then you have posts, whatever they are, regardless of your brand, landing on your desk. It is true that as a ghostwriter, I'm doing the job. I'm doing the work. But the founder, they come to an interview and they share their stories, their insight, their specific takes on things. And the posts are really all about what they say. So in theory, I could write posts without interviews, but I believe that asking the right questions and building that relationship with the founder is essential so that the post will reflect the brand that already exists. And that's a major distinction. Their personal brand already exists regardless of what they do. Question is whether people know about this or if they feel something towards it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's well put. I think a lot of people, when they want to outsource, they think, well, what am I going to outsource? Say a person wants to outsource to ChatGPT, for instance, and not hire a professional. Well, you can't outsource your personality, and you can't outsource your thoughts, and you can't outsource your values. The words, ChatGPT can write the words, but it can't bring the human element. And I think that that's where having a professional ghostwriter who knows you and knows your voice and knows your brand is able to do something radically different. Yeah.
It's true. And one of the objection points that I faced is exactly this question. How are you going to capture my personality? And for me, it is taken for granted that I interview and I take the exact words and phrases they used and turn it into post. For me, it is a fact that the process itself is a joint process. It's true that I am writing, but I don't work in a vacuum. And I was surprised to learn that too many ghostwriters don't have that. I thought that everyone are doing this, and it's not the case. There are so many ghostwriters who just say, I will write whatever, and they don't interview. And I wrap my hands around my head. I mean, how can you do that? You are managing someone's personal brand. You need to handle it with care. And if you don't do that, you are giving them a disservice.
Yeah. Well, the way that I see it is before we had ChatGPT and AI and all that stuff, we had people who were bad at their jobs, So we had plenty of bad writing. I think people forget. There's a lot of people arms up in the air like, ChatGPT, we see it everywhere. It's true. But before ChatGPT, I would see bad writing everywhere. You would see misspelled posts and you would see some pretty awful content that had absolutely no point, and so yeah, I think it's still just as easy for us to spot bad content, those writers who won't do the interviews, who don't take the time to get to know the person. And so I think that it is pretty glaringly obvious when you look at somebody's feed whether they have had some content that's curated and is genuinely about them and about their brand, or content that's just taking up space and just adding to the noise online.
It is true, and it leads me to a concept that I've developed that one needs to stand deep, not stand out. It means that in a saturated market, even in a saturated market, you still have more than one provider. If all the market was full of monopolies, and I'm not talking about big corporations, I'm talking about small to medium businesses and startups and even enterprises with hundreds of employees. If they would be the sole providers in their industry, we wouldn't have capitalism. That's why I find the whole concept of standing out to be pointless, because by definition, you are going to work with some people. You are not going to work with others. You will be a much to some. You won't be a much to others. Some will be driven towards you and some will drive the other way around. That's why you need to stand deep in front of the people you want to work with. Stand as this nuanced authority that knows what you're talking about, that knows what they're struggling with, that is able to understand their emotions and able to convey these complex concepts with simple content. So someone else might be getting more likes. They might stand out more, but you will stand deep to the people you actually want to work with.
That's a great point. And I do think that a lot of people miss that. A lot of people get lost in vanity metrics. A lot of people are only looking at the likes. And you can pay somebody to get you a whole lot of likes. And maybe that triggers the algorithm and gets you in front of the people that you want to get in front of. But at the end of the day, if you are investing in your personal brand, and if you're investing time and money in building out a LinkedIn to work with people, at the end of the day, this might sound stupid obvious. You want to work with people. You want to actually get sales, you know?
Yeah.
Now, I know that you have a newsletter,
I
right?
do.
Where you can help people to do this. And is it free? This is like a no cost barrier to entry. They could just sign up for this newsletter?
They can just sign up to this newsletter, and I believe in giving value first. So I actually crafted a guide. I call it the LinkedIn Growth Blueprint. It's a 10-minute video guide in which I analyze 3 posts that I wrote in my profile that attracted both leads and followers, and I analyze why they worked, why they resonated with the audience, and how you, the reader, can take both the template and the thought pattern behind this and implement it in your writing. It's completely free to download, and once you do, you subscribe to my weekly newsletter.
Yeah, great resource. And I'm going to go ahead and link that in the comments. So if you're listening or viewing the podcast, just go ahead and look in the comments below and you can find that link. So, you talk about digital freedom. And as a person who's traveled the world, loves traveling, you yourself travel as well. You talk about this digital freedom concept, and I believe you're in Vietnam at the moment.
I am indeed in Vietnam. I live as a digital nomad for the past year and a half. This is my 6th country.
Yeah. Oh, what a fantastic life to live. So once you do set up the pipeline and you can get the sales, how does that change more than just the actual sales pipeline? How does that help to change your entire life where you could become a digital nomad if you felt like it?
I think the biggest misconception about being a digital nomad is that you travel all day. It's not true. I work 4 days a week and then I travel the rest of the time. The point is that you need to have a stable remote income way before you're a digital nomad. So it's not about closing a few sales. It's about creating that predictable pipeline and stability long before you're a nomad. So this is what I focused on. So I had my business figured out, my ICP figured out, my offers figured out way before I was a nomad. My business as a full-blown 100% in business has been existing for the past 2.5 years. If you add to that the time in which I was in this, what I call side hustle, was 3 years. And I became a nomad 1.5 years ago. So it was a goal, but it was a strategic one. So it's not like I jumped into nomadism the moment I became a solopreneur. No, it took time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how can people find you if they want to work with you? What is your own personal pipeline for meeting the right people who are a good fit for your services?
Sure. So first of all, my LinkedIn profile, Ophir Tal, Ophir, that's my first name, and then Tal, Tal, my last name. You can look me up on LinkedIn and you'll find my profile, and you can download the LinkedIn Growth Blueprint from there, and you can send me a DM there if you want to learn more about the service, book a call with me. I also have a website through which you can book a call directly as well. It's
okay. Yeah. And again, viewers, listeners, all of those links are going to be in the podcast. So what would be your biggest parting advice for founders? Should they be on LinkedIn? Is this a thing of the past? Is it overcrowded? Should they be on LinkedIn posting the right content right now? Is this important still?
It is very important. As a founder, you measure your business success in more than one way. One of them is, of course, client acquisition. This is 100% possible. My pipeline is now filled with like 7 calls for the next 2 weeks, all from LinkedIn. Yeah. And I'm not this huge founder. I'm just one guy. If you're this big founder, you can actually get more because you have more resources. So proof in the pudding, right? This is one example. Other than that, talent acquisition. I have a cybersecurity client, cybersecurity founder, And he was able, through the posts I wrote for him, he was able to recruit a sales manager, C-level, in 3 months. And we didn't even actively recruit. We didn't do anything in terms of recruiting other than just writing the post. And every founder knows that getting the right C-level, especially in sales, especially VP of sales, is really tough. You can literally spend tens of thousands of dollars, while the founder who paid me, he paid me like a retainer of $1,000 per month. So after he invested, $3,000 over 3 months, he hired a sales manager. I mean, how cool is that? So these are just like small examples. I know other founders, other big founders who built a significant pipeline through LinkedIn. A great example would be Adam Robinson. Most of his sales come from LinkedIn. Alex Hormozy would be another example. Stephen Bartlett. These are like big names of founders who chose to take LinkedIn seriously. And I will say that if the goal is to build pipeline through LinkedIn, you have two methods. One is saying, like, in your profile, in the landing page oriented nature of your profile, aka the banner, link in bio, featured section, and all that, say, book a call with me, book a call with me. This is like one way. Another way, my way, is actually redirecting people into your newsletter, thus creating a funnel, because then people can download a resource like I'm offering. They join your funnel, they become part of your community, and they will become engaged buyers, most of them. And this is a proven strategy, and LinkedIn is a great way to channel awareness.
Yeah. And if you're going to be channeling awareness, you want to do it in the right way. You don't want people to go investigate you by clicking on your LinkedIn profile and have it look like, like your mom's or your grandma's Facebook profile. I do, even to this day, I still see these people and maybe they don't even have a picture uploaded, these are very accomplished professionals who may just not have considered LinkedIn as a viable option or even considered building their personal brand at all, unfortunately.
This is crazy. I see founders and they have a suit and tie in their profile picture. They look all too serious, but then their banner, their cover picture is like the beach. I mean, what the hell are you doing? This is like free real estate, Write about your offer, write about your value proposition, offer some kind of call to action, even if it's a simple call to action, like follow me for post about this and that, offer me something that I can follow. A picture with a beach on it, even if you are the biggest founder on earth, isn't going to convey any message, isn't going to convince anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. All right. Well, Ophir, thank you so much for joining the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. And there's tons of free resources in the links down below and ways that you can work with Ophir. If you want to hear more from him, you could reach out to him on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Appreciate your time.
With much pleasure. It was fun.